And we are live. Welcome, Facebook family. I've been waiting for this conversation. Been looking everywhere for someone to talk to about what is going on with this coronavirus. What is the truth behind it? I feel like there's a lot of questions out there, a lot of unknowns. Feel free to drop your comments. We are live right now with our special guest, Patty Olinger is here. How you doing, Patty?
Pretty good. How are you, Derrick?
Terrific to have you. Thank you so much for making the time. Now, you're the executive director for the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. Is that right?
Yes. We call it GBAC because the other is a long string of words together.
And so tell me, what is, just so people know where you're coming from, what's your job? What do you do? What does the Biorisk Advisory Council do, and how do you function with it?
So the GBAC, the Biorisk Advisory Council, is a division of ISSA. And now ISSA is a really unique organization. They are the largest trade show organization in the world for the cleaning and professional disinfection community. And so they represent manufacturers of disinfectant and cleaning materials and supplies, distributors, and building service contractors as well. So those who go out and clean, sanitize, and disinfect, and the residential cleaning industry. So it's a very large organization, and we are a new division as of last year for this organization.
Okay.
And so what I do, you asked what I did, and I'm sorry.
No problem.
So what I do at GBAC is that GBAC was created about 3 years ago by individuals in different industries, and one of them was the forensic restoration of the crime, trauma, unattended death, hoarding, unsanitary conditions industry. Then the professional disinfection, so the individuals who go into high containment laboratories or the Ebola units that cared for the patients back in 2014 and 2015, or the planes that brought in folks from Wuhan, China, or Diamond Princess. Biosafety, which was more of my specialty, along with the professional disinfection, and then the cleaning industry. We recognized that we had a lot of pieces of the puzzle together, but that we had gaps in our industry, and that together we were stronger. And so we came together, and then we became a part of ISSA last year.
So a lot of what you guys are trying to accomplish is essentially cleanliness, and the steps and the things needed to help people stay safe from biohazards and biological risks. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what can you tell me about the whole coronavirus situation? I mean, my understanding, I guess, is, it goes back a little ways, because for me, when I hear the word virus, I immediately start thinking about HIV or, some of the more prominent viruses that we've heard about. And most of those viruses that I've heard about, and I'm not a medical expert by any means, but a lot of times, those are things that you have to exchange bodily fluids, or you have to share a needle with someone to get it. But they're telling us that this coronavirus is airborne. And that's unusual, isn't it?
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, if you think of measles isn't airborne. Actually, measles is highly infectious and in the airborne way. Tuberculosis is another virus. And so there are things that we really are familiar with that are much more infectious from a standpoint of the airborne aspect of things, but that are out there as well. But we haven't, we have those, we don't see those in our day-to-day life as much as we're seeing the coronavirus right now.
Yeah, and so what are the things that people should be doing then? Because we're kind of hearing wear a mask, wash your hands, sort of the basic things. I mean, I went to the grocery store, give you an example this morning. Every single person there was wearing a mask. So the word is out that people are supposed to be wearing masks right now. Does that help, or do you need to cover the whole face? Can this thing get in through your eyes?
So the number one thing that we have to think about is don't touch your face. So you're absolutely right as far as, we're seeing people wear masks. The likelihood that you're going to get it from an airborne standpoint is low. The probability is low. If you were in healthcare, you have a much higher chance because you're in situations where you're in close proximity to somebody who is ill. But right now, the number one way that people are going to be getting infected is if they touch something and then they touch their face. One of the things that the mask does is it makes you not touch your face, for one thing. And then the other is, yes, if you touch your eyes as well, you could become infected if you had touched a surface that was contaminated. So that goes along with the washing your hands. If you wash your hands, and if you can't get to someplace to wash your hands, use alcohol hand sanitizer. The other thing, I'm going to actually write a little paper on this, and have one of my sons is a hand surgeon, and he's going to help me write this, is that our hand health is really important right now because we're washing our hands all the time, and now they're getting rough. And if you think about a rough surface touching something that's infected, it's even harder to get them clean. And so we need to be using a lot of lotion and protecting our hands and taking care of our hands right now.
Interesting. So lotion up then. That's a big thing for right now.
Lotion up.
Okay. No, that's good to know because those are the kinds of things that I don't know if we're really hearing about it. Now, you did say that it's unlikely that you're going to get this from an airborne circumstance. People are wearing masks. Does it, for the average person going to the grocery store, does it make sense to wear a mask? I mean, does that actually help?
Well, it does, because we don't realize how many times we touch our face. So from that standpoint, in the event that somebody were to, have sneezed or coughed on a surface or rubbed their nose and they were shedding what we call shedding virus, or they were sick and they could expose people, and then they touched a surface, and then you came along and inadvertently or just by accident touched that same surface, and then you touch your face, that's how that chain, what we call the chain of infection, can happen. So if we can break that chain of infection, either by our own behaviors, by not touching our face or putting something in between touching our face and our hands, or, in my industry, continually looking at how we're cleaning and sanitizing and disinfecting and trying to get that viral load or the virus inactivated as much as possible, that breaks that chain of infection.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. So you're saying you should wear a mask?
Yes. Right now our federal government is recommending that we do. And what that's helping us do is what they're saying is flatten the curve. So why that is important is that for our healthcare groups and our healthcare industry right now, and our doctors and nurses and the staff that's supporting the doctors and nurses and that staff, to help them, keep ahead of this and to keep up with it, if we can reduce the number of individuals that become infected, then we do a couple things. We help them. We also give ourselves time and the scientists time to come up with a vaccine or a treatment that helps us, win against this virus.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. I've got some stats pulled up from what's this called, Worldometer, about the current cases and things like that. So you're saying, wear the mask because it can't hurt, might help. What about like when we're buying food, when we're going to the grocery store and things like that? Are there extra precautions we should be taking as far as, hey, I'm buying a can of a 2 liter of soda off the shelf. Should we be wiping that thing down with some sort of cleaning product? Or what about produce, like bananas? I'm buying some bananas at the market this morning. Are those things we should be worried about as well?
Well, there's been a lot out on the internet right now, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta had given a little bit of a demonstration of what to do with groceries. And so again, if you had them delivered to the house and the individual who delivered it happened to have been ill, that outer part, or the paper bag, say, could potentially, the likelihood again is low, but there's nothing that hurts, wiping that off or spraying it with a disinfectant and letting it sit. One thing that we have to remember is time is our friend here. This virus is very easily deactivated by time and also by disinfectants. And so time is our friend. So if you get a box from Amazon or FedEx, you can, and it's not perishable, and you can sit it in the garage, let it sit for a day. And that gives you that comfort zone there. You said something about fruit. So yeah. I've done a lot of international travel, and one of the rules of thumb that we always said was if there's an outer covering, like a banana or an orange, where you can peel that off, wash it off with water. If you don't have soap and water, wash it off. And that inner part of that fruit is perfectly safe. And so think about those things, how you can, just common sense-wise, protect yourself against, coming in contact with a surface that might have, somebody might have touched.
Now, you said something earlier that this particular virus is very easily deactivated. What did you mean by deactivated? And is the term easily, is that in reference to other viruses that aren't as easily?
Yes.
Okay. Explain that for me.
Okay. So when I say deactivated, what I mean is viruses are not alive. So they need to have a host cell to replicate, to make more viruses. So just the virus by itself is not alive, as opposed to a bacterium, it is. So that's one thing to realize. That's why you'll hear people say we're going to kill the virus, but
there's nothing to kill.
Kill something that's not alive. So we're deactivating, or from that, using that type of language. Now, the other thing is that this is what's called an enveloped virus. So what that is there's a fatty layer around the virus itself. And the cool thing about a fatty layer, if you think about it, what happens when you put fat in hot water? It melts. When you put soap on it, it breaks up that fat. So disinfectant helps break up that fatty layer. That's one reason why when you wash your hands and they say get a good lather up, really, put it in nice warm water and wash your hands, And so those are some of the things that really help break up this virus. And you're right, there are other viruses that are more difficult to kill. Tuberculosis is one of them. And so, that's why when you look at the labels of some of these disinfectants, they'll say it's a tuberculicide, or, it'll even, in some of the labels, will list the different viruses or bacteria that it's effective against.
Gotcha. So what you're really trying to do is to just create an environment in which the virus can't replicate itself, because it needs to sort of like a domino. It needs to keep rolling, needs to keep moving. A lot of people are carrying around Lysol, spraying everything with it. Is that one? Does that do anything, or is that just peace of mind?
Sometimes some do. Look at the label. Yes, there's an EPA list called the N list. And it's for emerging pathogens, and the N list on the EPA website is specific for COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2. And so, if there is, let's say, the Lysol spray, or as you said, or one of the spray disinfectants, or a wipe disinfectant, look at that list. If it's there, then one important thing that you need to do is look at the back of the label and look at what's called contact time or dwell time. So this is something that a lot of people don't think about, is they'll spray the surface and then they immediately wipe it off. But that dwell time is the amount of time that the surface needs to stay wet. And so the reason for that is that's how long it needs to stay wet to, again, deactivate the virus and to work as a disinfectant.
Okay. All right. So you have to pay attention to the specific uses. It's not an immediate, hey, I sprayed this thing with the Lysol, now it's a clean surface. You need some soak time, if you will.
Some soak time. That's a good way to put it. Sort of the same thing as like washing my hands for 20 seconds. It's like, wow, that seems like a long time, but it really does make a difference. And it's the same concept, that soak time.
So is there anything else that we should know about coronavirus, maybe that, or prevention in getting it, or protecting others around us, family members and so forth, that maybe people haven't heard or seen in like the mainstream media that you could share with us?
I really have to reiterate the importance of not touching our faces, and and really, right now we're at a critical point of that flattening the curve, as they put it. Really practicing our social distancing right now is so critical, because if we can continue doing this until they tell us it's okay, we have a chance of really shortening the time that we all have to practice social distancing. And then also starting to think about what it's going to be like and how we're going to then recover from this. And that's the next phase, is how do we recover from this, and what types of things do we need to have in place so that there will be another pandemic sometime, hopefully not, anytime soon, but there could be. And so how do we then prepare for that next one and not have to go through what we're going through right now?
Yeah, and that was where I was headed for kind of my wrap-up question with you, is just like, how does this change things moving forward? I mean, the experience that we've had going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, I think we're creating a lot of germaphobes here. And I think that's going to be sort of a more normal thing. What do you see that's been sort of reactionary in your world, coming in and doing what you do, that you think will become mainstream for us, regular folks on the other side of this thing?
So you raise a really good point, and it is a concern for all of us. Is that we don't want to have people become germaphobes. From a standpoint of, we need to be respectful as far as understanding how. Think about the flu. We have a lot of people die every year from the flu, and maybe some of these practices that we're practicing will save lives, with regard to the flu going forward. That being said, is that some of the things, coming into ISSA, I had this timeline and some things that we were looking at implementing, and the timeline has been shortened, I will tell you. So we had a series of, training and certifications for individuals who clean and then want to get into the area of disinfection, and then those who do professional disinfection. Think about a school that has to shut down because of the flu or a norovirus outbreak. Then what we were looking at is we were going to roll it out this fall, and it's going to be rolled out much sooner because of this recovery phase, is something what we call GBAC STAR. So if you think about LEED buildings, or if you think about a program called Green Seal, it is one of those things where you look at the service providers and the facilities. And so if you walked into, say, a hotel or a restaurant or, a yoga studio, and they had a symbol on there that said GBAC STAR, you would know that how they're cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting the area is one to think about, both from routine, day-to-day issues, and then, let's say it's flu season, that they step up. They have gone through that thought process and training on how to provide protection for us. And in the event that there was something that, let's say, absentee rates in a school started getting higher, they knew what to do or who to call in to professionally sanitize and disinfect the facility. So we're looking at what we can do to give that confidence back to people.
Yep.
And so those are some of the things that we're seeing.
It's going to be crucial. The confidence is always a big deal when it comes to everything, not just the financial markets, but overall the life that we live and how much fun we have here, how much we enjoy it, has a lot to do with that confidence. Patty, thank you so much for taking the time to call us today and share your knowledge with us. We really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Derrick, and stay home and stay safe.
I absolutely will. You do the same. Take care.
All right.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
That was Patty Olinger, Executive Director, Global Biorisk Advisory Council. Don't ask me how in the world I got her to come on this show, but we just did it, baby. We just did it. So she told us some of the things that you've been hearing in the news. I just wanted to kind of get to the bottom of it, because this is a lady, this is her right here in a hazmat suit, like dealing with stuff like this. Like, she's been on front lines of crazy stuff. And for us to just kind of hear that from her, apparently, the mask is something that does make sense. I haven't worn a mask yet. Maybe I'll do that now, just based on what she said. Touching your face has been the real issue, because apparently that's the path, one of the entryways is that this virus can make its way into you, is through the mouth, through the nose, through the eyes, and we touch those things a lot inadvertently throughout the day. So she's saying wear the mask because that'll keep you from touching it. And that could potentially, help you avoid it. So some good stuff. She also said wash the fruits, things like that, when you're buying produce, or you go out and you get something, but when you use the Lysol and whatnot, you got to let it sit on there. There's a certain amount of time. So read the directions. It'll tell you, to let it soak, essentially spray it and leave it for a certain amount of time so that it can create that buffer from the virus and make sure that it is killed before you then go ahead and touch it and start using those things. So I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of things going on. Very, very busy. I'm telling you, this market is a moving, and I can't wait to talk about it tomorrow with the David Serpa. He's an agent up in Temecula area. Had him on my show before. Fun guy, smart guy. He's a little bearish on the market right now. I'm so busy that I could almost not even do this video today. So I would like to hear what he has to say and what's got him bearish. We'll do that tomorrow around the same time, around 3:30. Rates moved pretty. Let me just give you a quick update today. Stock market opened up, gapped up again, second day in a row gapping up. I don't have the chart here, but I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. I actually put more on today on the short side about midday, right when it was at the peak. It worked out very, very good for me. There's more that's coming on that front. Tomorrow's going to be a big day just across the board. See what happens with the market. Does it bounce back? Does the downtrend continue? I think the downtrend is going to continue tomorrow as things start to come back a little bit. We saw some excitement in the good news that there was about coronavirus cases going down. And today, New York, jumped up to the greatest single day death toll. It was over 740 people, I believe, died in one day. So we're not out of the woods yet on this thing. So I wanted to bring Patty on and discuss this stuff because we aren't out of the woods yet. There's more coming. Mortgage rates, though, looking very, very good. Going to continue to get better, it looks like. Just baby steps now, which is good. It's good. We don't need the flying all over the place, flapping around stuff. That's not necessarily a healthy market situation. It creates a volatile situation. We don't need that. We want steady Eddie. That's what we want the real estate market to be, and that's what it looks like we've got. Also on Friday, Jay Lee, my homeboy, he is going to join me. We're going to talk about opportunities, particularly for veterans in this marketplace to take advantage of, and especially in the real estate side. Awesome opportunities that have been surfacing all over the place. So this is something that we're going to discuss on Friday around the same time. We might do that on Zoom. He's trying to talk me into the Zoom, which, I'm cool. I'm down with Zoom. But I just like my mini chat set up here because I can pull graphics. I can draw on them. I think it's pretty neat. Maybe you can do the same thing on Zoom. There was a security question mark around Zoom, and I guess people can hack in, and they're not trying to get into your stream. They're trying to get into your computer, but they're getting in through the stream. So check on that. If you have any questions about that, my company released a whole thing about how you can do it securely, so I can forward that to you if you guys have any questions about that. Oh yeah, I should probably do that every once in a while. I'm not a very good self-promoter. Not as good as I used to be anyway. There it is. Voila. That's by NMLS. If you know anyone who's looking to buy a home or refinance, let me know. I can help them out. And hopefully this information is helpful. And you share it with all your friends. Let's make them smarter than everyone else. And I'll see you guys again.